Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CPI Trade Media and Big Project Middle East, I'd like to welcome you to the 2025 edition of the Energy, Water and Sustainability Summit. I'd like to kick things off today by recognizing today's speakers and delegates, especially those from Expo City, Dubai, the Department of Energy, Damac Properties, GE Vernova, Shoba Realty, and South Staffordshire Water. I know that this is an extremely busy period for everyone, so I really do appreciate you taking the time to come down and join us today. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the phrase, "it takes a village," and this event actually called for an immense participation from two very important groups. First, a big thank you to my colleagues at CPI Trade Media, and especially the Big Project Middle East team, including Priyanka Reina, Arif Bari, and Ras Islam. This event actually marks the start of a marathon run of events which run every 2 weeks from now until the end of June. The events include the Future of Engineering Summit on the 28th of May, the Critical Infrastructure Summit on the 18th of June, and the Digital Construction Awards on 26th of June. It's absolutely incredible that the work has gone into so many events in such a short span of time. I'd now also like to recognize the support of our valued partners, without which events like this would not be possible. A big thank you to our strategic partners, KEO International Consultants, associate partners Climatize and Plus Impact, and supporting partners JLL, Polypipe, and TBH. Please give them all a round of applause. So we've got an interesting agenda today, and to be honest with you, when I first began researching this event back in February, I actually got quite deflated. It was one thing in particular that shook me. Several research organizations reported that 2024 was actually the hottest year on record on Earth. And it was the first calendar year to actually breach the symbolic 1.5 degrees Celsius global warming limit that was agreed upon by the Paris agreements. Of course, that preferred limit is spread over several years, so it's not actually quite game over just yet. But it is a warning that despite all that has been achieved since 2016, we're far from decarbonizing and preventing catastrophic climate change. So this got me thinking about what we must actually do to get off this deadly path. Do we need stricter legislation from governments? Do we need more collaboration from within high-polluting sectors, or even across a multitude of sectors? Do we educate the next generation away from consumerism, or maybe even capitalism? Do we need to put the caps on the use of artificial intelligence and social media, which is driving massive amounts of compute power and energy and water-intensive usage from data centers? It's a mind-boggling conundrum, and every answer I came up with actually had a lot more questions. One thing did become apparent to me, however. It's time to embrace disruptive and unconventional thinking and cutting-edge technology to take control of our future. In this respect, there was a lot of great news from scientific communities focused on energy, water, and construction. This is, of course, in terms of the tools and technology that could kick decarbonization into high gear. I was very pleased to read very recently that Chinese scientists achieved a major milestone in terms of clean energy tech after successfully adding fresh fuel to an operational 2-megawatt thorium molten salt reactor. Reactors of this sort actually use molten source as the coolant and fuel carrier, with thorium serving as the fuel source. Now, these reactors are thought to be safer alternatives to uranium-based reactors, and as far as supply, there's more than twice the amount of thorium in the Earth's crust as uranium. Some organizations actually even believe that thorium can be extracted from seawater in small quantities. As these reactors are thought to be safer to operate than uranium counterparts, thorium reactors are actually now being considered by several countries, which could support the decarbonization of the still currently very heavy fossil fuel-dependent energy sector. In the water sector as well, there's massive development going into wastewater treatment solutions. These can ensure access to clean drinking water in water-scarce areas, help prevent or reverse ecological damage, and even mitigate climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. One solution in particular was said to be able to recycle 95% of a building's wastewater, and that covers gray water as well as black water. There are also alternatives to reverse osmosis desalination, which are much less energy intensive and less damaging to the environment. Water harvesting from arid air is also becoming a reality, with the first air-to-water bottling facility scheduled to open in Dubai this year. On the construction side of things as well, low carbon and carbon negative building materials are increasingly becoming a reality. Using seawater, electricity, and carbon dioxide, Northwestern University scientists have actually developed a new carbon negative building material. As you know, cement, concrete, paint, and plasters are composed and made up of calcium and magnesium-based minerals, which are mostly sourced from aggregates such as sand. Sand, of course, comes from the mining industry, which is said to contribute to about 4 to 8% of all greenhouse gas emissions, and is also responsible for a raft of ecological issues. With the university's research in collaboration with CMEX, however, there is an alternative. By using electricity and carbon dioxide to grow sand-like materials in seawater, this material can then be used to manufacture cement, plaster, and paint with far less negative environmental impacts. There's plenty more in the pipeline, and we'll get into some of what I've discussed just now today with the sessions. In fact, going forward, each subsequent issue of Big Project Middle East and each event will have a strong focus on decarbonization and sustainability. For now, I do hope that you find today's presentations and panel discussions enlightening. More than that, I hope that this inspires you to connect with your fellow delegates to bring about the transformation that we need. In the same way that this event required a village to produce, tackling climate change requires a global effort. Thank you and enjoy the day.